Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is my complete Chanel collection video. I am sharing with you every single item from Chanel that I own, right from SLGs all the way through to bags. So I hope you guys enjoy this and let's get started. So I'm going to be going in size order from my smallest piece right through to my largest, and the smallest item from Chanel that I own is my little brooch. I've had this for, I want to say 4, maybe going on 5 years, and I absolutely love it. It's done really well as well. There are no stones that are missing at all, and it pretty much looks the same as when I got it. I just think that things like this are so timeless and classic, as with so many pieces from Chanel, but you can pop this on literally anything. I think it looks beautiful on coats, on sweaters, blazers, you know, it does work on so many different types of clothing, and it really just adds that little something extra, and I just love it. I don't really feel the need to get another one just because it's a pretty simple design, and I just love the one that I have so much. So I would definitely recommend if you are considering getting a Chanel brooch. I have been so happy with mine. On to SLGs now, and I have 4 SLGs in total at the moment, 3 of which are pretty much the same size, 2 of which are very similar indeed. So the 2 that are very similar are my pink one and my turquoise one. So this one is in goat skin, I believe, and then this one is in lamb skin. The texture is definitely a little bit different. The lamb skin is a little bit more plush, but I really like the pink one as well. It's just a slightly different finish and look. But these are both the kind of flap card holders, which is probably my favorite type of small SLG from Chanel, just because it can actually fit a decent amount. So if you did want to use this as a small compact wallet, you absolutely could, and I really like them. You do have a little pocket on the front there, and then apart from that you just have that wide open space, just really functional but very tiny as well, so it can fit into most small bags. And then my small pink one is very similar as well. So again, just opens up, you have that pocket on the front there, and then you have that wide open space. These are actually more durable than I think a lot of people think. I actually spilled coffee on this pale pink one. I wiped it off and you can't even tell, like, so I definitely, well, I try to take care of it. It hasn't always worked out that way, so I've definitely put this one to the test, but it looks really great and I just still absolutely love these. I think they are the most beautiful little things. And the other design I have is this kind of open flat one, almost like a mini passport holder. This one is in the caviar grain leather. On the back there you do have that pocket, and then when you open it up you do have the 2 card slots, a bigger pocket there, another pocket on the other side, and then a little space for an ID card or a photo or whatever you want to use that for. Really like this one as well, and this one's obviously done very well being grain leather, but as I said, in the smaller size even the lambskin does pretty well, and I just think these are great. Definitely not as cheap as they once were. I think they're now around the £420 mark, so I did get these quite a bit less, but they do stand the test of time and I really do enjoy them. And then the last SLG that I have is this little pouch. This is just a very plain zip one, so just opens up like so, and then that's it. There are like no pockets, nothing fancy at all. It's just a plain zip pouch. But the detailing on it is very nice. You know, you have a very smooth zipper, and you have just little touches like the little Chanel right there on the corner. I just think these are beautiful. This is an exact match for my mini that I got in the same color, which is pretty much the reason why I got it. I just love the matching shade. I think it's such a pretty shade of periwinkle blue, and just a really beautiful piece. This one is in the lambskin, but again, I'm not anticipating too many problems. Generally speaking, the smaller the surface area, the better it will do in terms of wear and tear, so fingers crossed that will also be the case with this one. Onto bags now, and the smallest bag I own is a wallet on chain. This is the only wallet on chain from Chanel that I own now, and I absolutely love it. This is in the reissue style, which has the slightly more distressed leather. I'm not always a fan of all the reissue bags. I have worn them over the years. Generally speaking, I would always prefer the classic line, but I saw this combination, I just thought it was so beautiful. I really love the pale pink combination with the kind of muted gold. It's a very pretty kind of brush gold hardware. I just think the combination is so lovely. So you just open it up with the turn lock right there, and then inside just the classic kind of wallet on chain design. So you have the pockets on the back there, you do have a zip pocket in the front, you have another little compartment on the other zipper side, and then you have the front pocket there, as well as the zip pocket on the top, albeit it is quite a long one, but obviously you can't fit that much inside because you don't have much depth there. And then on the back you do have another pocket as well, so you do get a ton of compartments with the wallet on chain style. and I really love this one. I have used it as a clutch. I've also worn it crossbody, and I just think it's a really elegant design, and I really particularly like this combination. Now onto minis, and I currently own 4 minis, 2 in the square size and 2 in the rectangle size. So the first mini that I ever got is my Chanel Square Mini in the black caviar. Didn't know when I got it that this was going to be such a hard to find item. They're actually pretty common when I got this one, and I did get it pre-loved, and now obviously it's the opposite, so I do feel very grateful that I was able to get this when I did. But it really has stood the test of time. You know, it still looks in very condition for such an old bag. It is a fairly kind of stiff leather, so it is very structured, which I do think really helps with the wear and tear. And then on the inside you do have the pocket right there on the back, as well as the zip pocket, and then it's just the wide open space, and then you have that back pocket as well. I'd say in terms of wear and tear, maybe the back is collapsing in a little bit, but honestly it's very slight, and for a bag this age it's just done tremendously well. I used to use this bag a lot more than I do now. I used to kind of take it on holiday and I was very blasé about it, but now knowing it would be pretty much impossible to replace, I am a lot more careful with it. But I still absolutely love this design. The Square Mini is still my favorite, I think. I just love the handle drop. I love the overall look, the shape, just pretty much everything. And yeah, I just think this is the best mini size. And the other Square Mini I have is my electric blue one in the lambskin. This is actually a gift from my brother, and it was just a total surprise and completely blew me away. It still does. Like, I still cannot believe he gave me something so extravagant, but it is absolutely beautiful. Like, I don't think I've ever had a lambskin which is as plushy as this. Like, it's a really beautiful puffy lambskin. It does have silver hardware, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And if there was ever going to be a bag that would convince me about lambskin, this would be it. Even comparing this one to my red one, I feel like the leather on this is just so different and so much more luxurious. So it really goes to show, like, different batches really can make a huge difference, but this one is an absolutely beautiful one. It's such a striking color as well, and I would never have gone for this myself, but I think it is so beautiful and so striking, and it's just the most gorgeous thing and the most amazing gift. Next up are my 2 rectangle minis, and the first one that I ever got in this size was my red one, and this is kind of like a berry red, I would say. I got this in Paris when I went with Dan, and I have such fond memories of buying this bag. It's such a special experience to kind of visit the Chanel store in Paris, and we did go to a few, but I did end up getting this one from the flagship, and it's just kind of the most beautiful store, and yeah, it's just a really lovely experience. This one has a lot of memories attached to it, and I do still think it's absolutely beautiful. Even though it's not my favorite mini size, I still absolutely think the rectangle minis are fantastic, especially if you like to wear your bags crossbody. This one has the pale gold hardware, which is just so pretty, very shiny, but a little bit less yellow than your kind of standard gold hardware that you get from Chanel. The rectangle minis follow pretty much the same design as the square minis, in that you have a zip pocket on the back there, and then a separate pocket on the front of the zip pocket, and then you have that slip pocket on the back. Just really pretty, and again, perfect if you do like to wear your bags crossbody. Just a really nice length. I would say that I wish they'd make all the chains adjustable. I have started seeing them coming out with the pearl crush ones, and I think it's such a good idea, but that would make them absolutely perfect, I think, if you could adjust the length of the chains. But nevertheless, I absolutely still love mine. And then the other mini I have is this beautiful periwinkle blue one. This one matches the zip pouch that I showed earlier. I got this one for Christmas last year, and I just think it is the most beautiful colour. This one has leather which is almost as puffy as my electric blue one, not quite, but it is almost there, and it's a very nice smooth leather. Again, there is so much variation in between the batches, but I did get lucky with this one, and I love the colour hardware as well. I'd say this one is a little bit more of champagne-y gold, so again, very pale, almost a silver, but just has that little hint of gold. Just really pretty, and I like the fact they do mix up their hardware colours just to really kind of match the leather colour. Really lovely, and yeah, I'm just a huge fan of all the mini styles. Next up are medium flap sizes, and the first one is actually the first Chanel bag that I ever owned. I saved up for, I think, best part of a year for this bag. I bought it pre-loved from eBay. I think it was around £900. I came from Japan, and I love this thing so much. I used it every opportunity that I could, and it's definitely not looking so good now, but all things considered and what this bag has been through, I think it's actually doing okay. The sides have collapsed in a little bit, but apart from that, the leather is actually still very shiny and fairly puffy, and it's just done very, very well. So this is the Mammoth Line bag, which is the black style with the kind of vertical lines. You do have that silver bijou chain, and then on the inside just opens up with a zip pocket on the back. This one, it doesn't come with leather lining because it's not a classic flap, but you do have that front pocket as well as a zip pocket right there in the back. You can definitely tell this has been very, very well loved, and I don't use it much anymore, but I don't feel like I could ever part ways this bag just because so many memories, I've used it so much. There's just a lot of love still for this bag. But yeah, still going fairly strong even so many years later. Next up is my pink medium Chanel flap, and this is another one that I got fairly early on. I think this was the third Chanel bag that I got. Again, I bought it pre-loved, and it's definitely seen better days, but then it is also pale pink lambskin, so not particularly easy to look after. But that being said, I still think it looks pretty good. This one does have the gold plated hardware. I wish they still did that, but I can't even imagine what the price would be if they did. So swings and roundabouts, that you do have the little stamping right there. You do have a little bit of color transfer right there on the back pocket. There is some kind of fine wrinkling all the way throughout the leather because this lambskin, for whatever reason, isn't quite as puffy. It's more like a rigid lambskin. And then there is a little bit of marking on the front flap. And then I do have some dyeing of the color. I use this with complete abandon. I would use this on the sunniest of days and leave it out all day long. I was really so carefree with my bags, but as a result, I did dye the leather a little bit. So this is probably very overdue, a trip to the leather spa, but I always say that and I never seem to get around to it. But one of these days I will. Nevertheless, I still think it is a beautiful, beautiful style, and I will get around to restoring it one day. And my last medium size flap is my white one that I got earlier in the year. I love this color combination, and I'm a huge fan of white bags in general, but I just think this is so, so stunning. It does have the pale gold hardware, and then it is just a white grain leather or the caviar leather. I definitely wouldn't consider getting anything this pale in lambskin. I think it would be too difficult to maintain. This has actually been harder than I thought. I mean, very conscious about what I've worn with it, but even so, I wore this with a black dress, and then I did get a little bit of color transfer on the back there because I was wearing it crossbody. So definitely a lesson learned. It's not just enough to kind of color lock denim and avoid really dark denim, but black clothing can affect bags like this too, so I am going to try and tackle that and remove it. But nevertheless, apart from that, it's done okay, and I am fairly careful with what I wear it with, and I generally do tend to wear it more kind of doubled up. And to be honest, I just love the color combination a bit too much to avoid it. So definitely a more high maintenance one, but I absolutely love the stunning white shade. I just think it's so fresh and classic. And now for the newest addition to my collection. This is the Chanel 19 in the small size, and I just absolutely love it. I love pretty much everything about it, and it's actually been very, very durable. The leather almost feels like it has a coating on the top of it, so it's really not like other lambskin bags I have, and because of that, it's just been incredibly carefree. I do have a liner in here which has really helped with the shaping, so would definitely recommend that, but it just completely exceeded my expectations. You know, very, very functional, very comfortable to wear, and just kind of generally a pleasure to use. I love the different ways to wear it as well. The fact you can wear it crossbody, you can wear it as a top handle, just so many different options, and I just love it. So definitely on the bandwagon now. It took me a little while to come around to this style of bag, but now that I have one, I do absolutely love it. And now onto my jumbos. Many of you will know that this is my absolute favorite size of bag. Always has been, I'm pretty sure it always will be. And I know not everyone gets along with size of bag, but I still think it is just the quintessential Chanel style, which is just a little bit more practical. You know, the mediums are great, but they are very, very small, whereas you can fit a decent amount inside these. And I just love them. I just wish they weren't as expensive as they are now, but my first ever one is my black one with the gold hardware. This is now over 10 years old, which is absolutely crazy. I think it looks so fantastic for its age. Definitely some signs of wear here and there, especially on the corners, but all things considered, I just think it looks absolutely tremendous. The structure has held up beautifully. It really has held the shape because of the double flap, and I just can't say enough good things. You know, these are insanely expensive, but at the same time, I do think you're just getting a very, very classic style, which is really going to do very well in terms of wear and tear if you do go for the grain leather. So Huge fan, forever my favourite. I just will never tire of it, and I still love it just as much now as the day I got it. Next up is my Beige Claire. I got this again with the gold hardware. Gold hardware, if you can't tell, is usually my preference. It does depend on the colourway, but usually if there's a choice between the two, I will go for gold hardware, and I love this one. I don't use it as much as my grey one and my black one. It is a bit more of a warmer tone, and generally speaking, I will veer more towards cooler tones, but when I do reach for it, I absolutely love it. The grey leather is a little bit different. I'd say it almost has a bit more of a matte finish than my black one. So again, you can get variations even with a kind of standard leather type like Caviar. You will see different batch types, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just a slightly different finish. On the inside, you do have that double flap, and then you also have that huge wide open space. You can fit in a very decent amount. The pockets on the back, and then that pocket on the front, which you can actually fit a decent amount in as well. And then of course you have that back pocket as well, which I always make use of as well. So just love everything about this design, and even in my slightly lesser used Beige Claire one, I still absolutely love it. And then my newest jumbo, and probably one of my favourite Chanel bags out of my entire collection, is my grey jumbo. I just love this thing to bits. Definitely probably my most used style now. This year probably next to my 19, but I'm constantly reaching for this bag because I love it so much, and I was never really much of a grey girl before I got this one, but now I'm fully converted to just grey bags and grey tones and clothing in general. I think it's really beautiful, underrated neutral. This one again has a more kind of champagne-y hardware, so it's really kind of in the middle of gold and silver. Like, it doesn't really veer too much either way, just a very nice kind of neutral tone all the way throughout. Again, this leather is different from my black one and my beige one. I'd say it's maybe a little bit more shiny, perhaps a little bit softer as well than my black one. You do just get so much variation. This one doesn't have the edge stitching, and to be honest, I don't really mind either way. I hear people kind of state a preference, but I don't have a preference. I think they're fine with, and I think they're fine without as well. And I just can't say enough good things about grey jumbos. I just think they're so beautiful. I have seen Chanel release more grey colours now as well, so I do think they are becoming a bit more regular, but yeah, I absolutely love mine. Definitely one of my favourite bags. Down to my final two bags now, and these are the largest in terms of the actual size. So first up is my Chanel Deville tote. I got this one, I end up selling my kind of small one. To be honest, I like both sizes. It just kind of depends what you want to use them for. I'd say the smaller size, which doesn't have the top handle, it only has the shoulder strap option, is still plenty big enough. So if you're worried about capacity, that one can still fit an absolute ton. This one is huge though, like it can fit so much. So I just have a little pillow inside at the moment, but I do have a bag liner inside this one. I wanted it for the kind of shaping, but also just to protect the lining because it is a very pale color. This one has the beautiful pearl design, which I just think is so stunning, and then it has the leather trim in a kind of pale camel tan color, so very light colored, very neutral. I think these are probably meant to be beach bags. I would never use this on the beach. I would just freak out way too much. So I just tend to use mine in summer as a normal tote, but you definitely could use it as a beach bag if you wanted to. They do a few different variations in these, and I just think they're so stunning, and I particularly love all the different detailing you can get with them. But yeah, this combination in particular, I just love. I'm a sucker for pearls. I just think they're so beautiful, and I do really think it works with this colorway. And then my very last Chanel bag is this rather enormous thing right here. So this is the XL Tote. This is a very large bag, as you can see. So this is a vintage one that I got in Tokyo when I went 3 years ago, I want to say. Tokyo is just incredible for pre-loved luxury shopping. Like, there are stores everywhere, and this was just in a random store on a random street. They sold watches and really just a couple of bags, and then this was just in a cabinet, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, because I remember all the photos of Nicole Richie wearing this and Rachel Zoe having it back in the day, and I always lusted after it. So I instantly saw it and recognized it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I definitely want to try it and get that. I think I paid about £1,800, maybe £1,900 for it, something like that. So Definitely expensive, but I don't feel like it's too bad, and it's in pretty good condition, all things considered. So you do have that little Chanel tag right there. It is lambskin all the way throughout, but again, it feels like a slightly kind of sturdier, more matte lambskin, so it's not the really puffy kind, so it does seem to do fairly well in terms of scratches. You have that massive Chanel turn lock, and I have stuffed this to the brim in an attempt to keep it shape. So as you can see, like, it is absolutely huge. You can fit a ton inside. You do have that front section as well. You also have a back section, like you could just move it into this bag if you want to. It's not the lightest and it's not the most practical, but I just love it regardless. I think it's so classic and beautiful, and I'm just so thrilled to have this in my collection. So hopefully I will be able to use this again when we start traveling, hopefully soon, who knows. But yeah, definitely not the most practical one in my collection, but still very loved. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you wanted to see a kind of size comparison of the different classic flap sizes as well as mod shots, I did do that video fairly recently, so I will link that here. If you have any questions for me about any of these styles or anything else, then feel free to leave me a comment. If you enjoyed the video, please do give this a thumbs up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.